10 seconds of the game launches. I hope everybody is ready and excited because this one's about to get fiery.
3 seconds on the clock, and we will jump into the snowy map of Cafe. Virtus.pro will look to try and steal this away from Furia. The bans will come in, and Jesse, I think you're a little bit more suited for this portion.
Yeah, Sam, well, we're expecting to see some shield bans come out typically on this map, but you're going against Virtus.pro, who aren't really the big shield team. Of course, they'll be banning the attackers to start things off. They still ban one shield away, that'll be the monster that does get removed. Then often you do see either a Ying or a Grim as that secondary spot. No surprises from Virtus.pro. It'll be the Azami plus Castle being removed now from Furia. Both those operators making sure that the windows can stay closed, that you aren't so worried about the repel mechanics. On a map like Cafe, there's so much strong repel play, that's going to be even stronger with a way to protect yourself from those windows.
Absolutely, and even with Castle getting removed, in case of those window plays as well, he's also got a nice application downstairs on Kitchen. We see people cut up those hallways all the time, play things over towards coat check. So Furia really tackling Cafe wholeheartedly when it comes to these bans, and I think it'll be very beneficial to them. We'll see how it pans out down the line, though. Virtus.pro, as Jesse said, Grim and Monty off the board, so attacking one of the mainstay shield ops just to try and make their life a little bit easier when Furia start their clear.
Just get into Cafe here. I said it was a bit of a weird pick for VP. They've only played this map once this season, beating Falcons 7-5 in the EML, and that's a big result. Falcons are a really good team, so to take them down is certainly important. But Furia have a 7-1 record this season. They've only lost a single time. That was to NIP in overtime. So they're extremely experienced on this map. Furia, I think on all three maps, are going to be feeling very comfortable. VP, much the same. I think our analysts broke that down quite nicely where they said these two teams like much the same map, so it's not going to be unfamiliar territory really for any of these squads. I think both opponents can manage to get wins on all three maps.
Yeah, well, comes down to that quite a few times here on against international competition. Teams start to favor the same maps, and in a world like that, it becomes dog eat dog. Who's got the bigger bark? Furia taking their time, as you normally do on this initial portion of the round. Trying to work things through. Pasha crossing once again. Almost like he didn't realize that he just got shot right in his back. A nice little find here. Frag grenade. No way. Pasha's going to be able to slip away for just a second, but the window play here from Furia, it's just fervent. It's absolutely everywhere as it peels Pasha away from Virtus.pro.
Yeah, and even with the very first kill, you're seeing the impact of those operator bans, right? The window play always going to be coming in and having that factor. So, got to watch out if you're Virtus.pro. No angle is necessarily safe. Dan playing Pixel with the shield and ADS is winding back the clock a little bit, but basically a nade and some pressure. He's going to have to escape back to bathroom. More ADSs lie for him here, so he's going to continue to play these layers and back off slowly one at a time. Feeling very confident with that rotate back. I'm not sure that Fury have a great way to root him out of this position now that they're all out of nades.
I'm going to put the Selmas down and make it to where Bathroom's a little bit more complicated to play. Hertz will be able to find Dan as he tries to commit to that rotation, and around the building we go with that new repel system over to White Stairs. They know somebody's more than likely around this space, but Shepard too active to hold on to for Hertz.
Keep in mind, bomb site's not on that top floor. We're seeing a lot of action up there, but of course it is going to be mining, dining to start things off for Virtus.pro, and top floor players on VP will all choose to back off if they haven't already been killed. Conceding that floor now, that space to Furia with 60 seconds to work with. They've got some decent utility, right? They've got secondary shotguns, of course, on both Fleetbox and KZ, so they can really start working these floorboards to try to make some of those angles, make it really awkward for anybody to exist in some of these locations. Train is, of course, going to be a major point of focus as well. We'll have to see where this push comes down. To me, Sam, it's looking like it might be a dining finish with JV starting to walk down White.
Could be a solid consideration. Furia looking to clean things out over on the White Stairs, as we already know they are clear. Want to hold on to that, create some angles in through the wall here. Shepard waiting extremely patiently, but that might not pay off in the way that he wants to. He's right underneath the window. Nobody can find him, but finally Nate will knock him down. There's a man underneath. It's always with some impacts. A frost map for one, and he'll be able to take out JV92, but the case is going down. He doesn't know where it is either. It's over near that rotation that we saw earlier, that little vision shot into the wall, and nothing doing for Virtus.pro. It's down to always, so clamber up the the red stairs to try and make something of the situation, but Felipox very aggressively changes positions. He knows that he has to try and work his way up one of these stairwells. They'll be able to discover him as soon as he eclipses the top of that stair.
Nice try going down below with those impacts. If they had a little bit more information, it obviously could have been a massive play. There was the Valkyrie on the board. I'm not sure if they put any of those cameras actually in the bomb site. Could have made a big difference for them if they had, but I don't believe that any of them were inside of that site. Probably one inside of dining, but just didn't think to put one dining. That's kind of the gamble you got to take sometimes. Very limited resources, limited utility that you can have on the side of Virtus.pro. Double entry from Herds, the entry player for Furia, certainly going to make his impact on those windows. Immediately, again, you're seeing the impact of those bans. And even at the end there, JV92 getting on the window to force the position of the last player in sight, right? Make sure that nobody could play inside of dining. Then he repelled into a frost mat, so, you know, JV92 things. But even still, I think they're going to feel pretty confident about that first round win.
100%. And, you know, I think it was really on full display how those bans worked out, as you said. Just making it to where those windows were so accessible for Furia and really throwing a spanner in the works of the defense. Virtus.pro just not really having the capacity to operate around that. And honestly, it's extremely difficult. So we'll give them the benefit of the doubt as they try and find any way, shape, or form to work their way out of that first round. And now, into round 2 we go. It's going to be a kitchen defense here, an extension over towards VIP, as you normally do, and a little bit of a roam game to boot.
Yeah, nothing crazy. It's just going to be Pasha by himself on the top floor. Back during the regular season of EML Stage 1, Pasha was the only positive player on Virtus.pro. Kind of ridiculous to make top 4 in such a competitive region whilst only having one player go positive, but that just goes to show you how much Pasha can carry when he absolutely needs to. So he's the one player where if you see him out on his own, you can be pretty confident he's going to get at least one for his troubles before he ended up going down. Not really an extension, though. Of course, already fallen back down, playing coat check, playing red. So, be a full 5-man anchor setup. Not sure if Furia are so concerned with clearing the top couple of floors, right? Because they do have the bait, obviously, on that sledge. They want to work soft breach, but they've also got a couple of good ways to just rush in through Bakery. I really like that Sens plus Capitao combo. Means that they got a really good entry point if they want to use some of those smokes to get in through Bake. They've realized top floor is completely free at this point, so they will take it, whether that was their initial plan or not. And now they can kind of make that choice, right? If Freezer Hatch looks like the best play with those Sens walls, you can make it that way. Or if Bakery is more appealing, you can still head that direction as well, and it's going to be just as strong of a push because they've wasted no time here, Sam.
They've done fantastic, and this is all up to early information gathering, Jesse. The fact that they knew that the mid and top floor were practically clear probably stemmed from a drone watching Pasha rotate down. They got somebody in on that top floor and just quickly were able to dispatch anything on the mid level. And now we're here. We've got that mid floor covered. You're going to more than likely see Nade work his way in and start working this verticality with the sledge. It can become a little complex later on down the line if we do start to see, you know, Virtus.pro start to fight back. Fortunately enough for him, not a lot of nitro cells in the lineup on defense, so will make his life a little bit easier, but you still have to be careful.
And there's a drone watching the back of Dan right now. He's going to be the first target as they try to rush him down. So the Sens wall from the restaurant window as well being set up right at the start of the round. So there's going to be a lot of pressure on Dan. It's really important that he doesn't fall without getting at least 1 or 2 kills. Ideally, he stops the planter from dropping in Freezer Hatch, but with how much pressure looks to be coming his way, he could have a lot on his hands.
Yeah, it could be multiple bodies all honed in on VIP. IQ scanner out here will discover one of the players on their phone inside. I do believe that's Shepard as he pilots one of those yokai drones around. Dan, a very important position here. Knows there's bodies around and he beats KZ out. But does he know there's another one here? He'll take the fight and he'll win it out. And that might be the moment for Virtus.pro. It will be. Off the back of that effort, Shepard lines up 2 as well. And what a moment here for Virtus.pro as they equalize up against Furia.
So the really interesting thing from Furia's push there, Sam, is they didn't actually drop anybody through the Freezer Hatch. Instead, they walked 2 players at Dan. One came down the white stairs, and then Felipox just entered the garage door. And Felipox had the defuse kit. So once Dan killed both those players right here, with the first one happening, you see his aim switch over to the hatch expecting a drop, but instead there's no drop, so he just says, let me swing. Gets the trade, but that's by far more than good enough. And now Shepard's able to clean up those last couple of players who were kind of panicking, realizing that with Dan doing all that damage, they've got to recover the defuse kit. They've got to do something to save that push, and it really just all seemed to fall apart. So really good credit to Dan. Hyped up how important he had to be in that round, and he stood tall.
difficult position as well, and we can't, you know, understate that. You're in VIP, you got that pressure coming in from the booth window, you got those two players trying to operate around White hallway. There's a lot of miscommunication and just poor decision-making that can go on there given the circumstances, and yet Dan is able to figure out a clear path for himself, and especially the confidence in round 2 of a quarterfinal here at EWC, steps up to the plate and decapitates his opponent in white to really put a nail in round 2's coffin. Now we're on to round 3 here. Obviously, Virtus.pro won't be able to go back downstairs. It'll be mid-floor to try and solve this puzzle.
I should mention as well, it's a little bit interesting that we see Furia. Of course, this was Virtus.pro's map pick, so Furia chose what side they wanted to start on. They ended up choosing attack, which is not the conventional choice that teams would usually go for. I will say Furia have an excellent attacking win rate on this map so far this season, 59%. So they are a confident attacking team on Cafe. A little under their defensive win rate, still 70% on the defense. So again, Furia is a great team on this map, but maybe just they can get the hard part out of the way first. Maybe they think they don't want to let VP kind of get those attacks under their belt and start to warm up a little bit. Lots of different reasons teams might choose to start on the attacking side, but it makes it all that more important. The VP do rack up the score count in the first half. They want to be getting like a 4-2, 5-1, 3-3 with the absolute minimum in the half swap, because once they get to attack, it's going to, by natural causes, become a lot more difficult to win rounds.
Take a picture. That's exactly what Cafe's about. 3 people on rappel outside the building, all holding angles, all holding windows, and they've already tagged up always. Kind of a repeat from what we saw in the first round, except obviously that was Pasha over in Bar. And Furia is trying to do the same thing. The last time Virtus.pro got a little bit too active in the building while Furia was waiting on these angles, and they just got pick after pick after pick. They were able to take the map control after that and then progress into a very solid round. How does Virtus.pro respond?
Well, it's definitely been better in the first round. They haven't given up those early picks. Much the same strategy from VP. KZ starting to make some ground, though. He's looked so deep, Sam.
Oh! Might be able to get a good find here. Pasha will get that, and they're fighting fire with fire. They know one's in white. JV92 goes down, and Virtus.pro a little soul-searching through these first 2 rounds, but it seems they've found themselves, and particularly Shepard. 5-1 at this current moment in time. Really channeling himself into Cafe. What else will we expect? You want that 5-1 scoreline? I highly doubt there's even a smirk on that man's face. Always cool, calm, and collected. Nade, one of the twin brothers from Brazil, to try and have any solution to this equation. Oh, so close to tagging Pasha there, and he's on such low HP as well. Shepard's right around the corner. We'll dip back out towards pillars, but he doesn't have any information. He's just checking everything as quickly as he possibly can, but it's Joystick to put it down on Nade. And that will be the round going the way of the defense.
Sam, we didn't catch it from a first-person point of view because we were busy watching the shenanigans going on with that push up top coming through from KZ. But Shepard was downstairs playing inside of Reading. He went to the pillar door and he ran out the building to kill 2 players on rappel for Furia. A massive play from the hard support player on VP. This is a 27-year-old man we're talking about, Sam, and still making
you watch yourself.
Out.
Okay, you better watch yourself.
I know. But still old for the range of pro players that we see in this game, but making really aggressive on-the-fly type of plays that do pay off massively. If he doesn't make that risk, if he doesn't go for that run out, it's probably a Furia round. So really heads-up play to come out from Shepard, of course. Hard support for Virtus.pro, getting the job done when he has to, and really, really heads-up thinking from him.
The adaptations, Jesse. That's what this entire game is going to be about. The big conversation point when it comes to Virtus.pro is always the fact that you practically know what they're going to do. It's, can you stop it? But I think the one caveat that people tend to forget with that is that Virtus.pro, their true strategy is all about the micro adjustments. Yeah, that's what it is, and that's what we saw in that last round. It's a very similar strategy, Jesse, but they slow things down just enough to force Furia to get into the building where they have to try and apply some pressure, and it works out perfectly. Everybody's trying to help with that top floor execute, like you're saying, and Shepard slipped through the cracks on Hell Door. Well done to VP, and we'll see what Furia have to say about that.
Yeah, I think it really does exemplify kind of how things were going for VP all throughout the season, right? I mean, they've talked plenty about how important it is for them to manage to work some of this more aggressive stuff into their play style. They haven't said that it's been easy, right? They've talked about how difficult it's been for them to incorporate some of these more aggressive plays, but that they have been trying, and that was a really great example from Shepard. Now round 4, we will start to see a new bomb site finally. It is going to be reading room for our third site to be played here on Cafe, which means that we're going to see a little bit of a different lineup coming through from VP, and again, that aggression coming through. No spawn peak success from Pasha, but certainly was looking for it.
I love that they're starting to call up numbers here, especially for Pasha, you know what I mean? They got him on the Vigil. Not something that you see all that often anymore, as there's just a lot of operators that can seriously deal with info game in a much more conducive way, and we see exactly why. Herds was already scanning that ERC7 backpack of Pasha, so they know that he exists, and that's kind of a terrifying prospect for him. They'll more than likely be pretty aware of what's going on. He does have that Boss G prepared for the run out. He will swing. He'll be able to at least find one, and Dan will find the other. Virtus.pro have a great pace for Cafe.
And again, I just don't think Furia are ready for this. Fleetbox, you heard him before the game started. He said that this team can do the same thing all the time. We've done a lot of research on what they do, but there's no way that you're researching Pasha running out with an impact and Boss G, because he just doesn't do that every time. You can't make that a constant strategy.
M590 and the Boss G. Do you want slug or do you want shot? That's really what it came down to. And the answer is yes, Jesse. It didn't really matter which way you sliced that one, unless you're talking about joystick. You get a little scared there for that second one. It's Nade all alone on an island once again, just like in our previous round. This time a 1v5 down to a 1v4 after he'll take out joystick. And, I mean, maybe there's a world, maybe. You never know. Not this time around, though. The barbed wire's there, and it's unfortunate timing. Virtus.pro will continue on their escapades here on the defensive side.
There might have been a world, Sam, but it certainly wasn't this world, that's for sure.
I was just really hoping for that, you know, like, Cadian moment from Heroic back in the day. I mean, what happened first, you know what I mean? One of my favorite esports clips of all time, but that's why that clip is so amazing, because those things never happen, so.
Yeah, good attempt coming through. Really nice trigger discipline with the Boss G coming through for Pasha through that round. 2 really important kills. Will prompt attack timeout from Furia, and I think they really just do need to get a better read on the way VP are playing these defenses, right? I think they maybe came into this without the right read on what was going to be happening, on how VP might be playing this map, and it's really catching them off guard. So they need to start paying a bit more respects in the early round, setting up some more drones for this, taking things a little bit slower so that those plays just don't catch you off guard like they have been so far. At the same moment, now that you know they're starting to make that adjustment, VP, you can maybe slow down on that, right? The attack timeout's coming out. You can sort of switch your game plan. I mean, it always comes down to these little mind games, and end of the day, it's going to be whoever can read their opponent better in the server, and VP have certainly been that team so far today.
It's truly impressive what Virtus.pro has been capable of thus far. Especially with the fact that they haven't honestly had that many rounds overall at this tournament. It's actually just insane. Up until this point, 17 rounds played to Furia's 71.
Yeah.
Stat check me?
That's correct, yeah. This is the battle between the team that has played the most amount of rounds in the tournament and the fewest amount of rounds in the tournament, because Furia have battled incredibly close matches all throughout the lower bracket just to get here now into the playoffs. Virtus.pro had, I think, a 7-2 and a 7-1. They've literally lost 3 rounds so far in the tournament. Now it's 4. You're right, good point. So they're up to 4 total rounds lost since coming to Riyadh. Absolutely ridiculous story, especially when you consider this is the Russians' first time here in Riyadh for either Gamers 8 or EWC. They've always failed to qualify for this event anytime that they've tried to make it, and they have always been trying, but it's always been open qualifiers in the past, Sam, to get to this event. And this time it wasn't open quals, so VP were able to have a bit more success, and certainly showing exactly why they deserve to be here through both the group stage and now their first couple rounds versus Furia.
Yeah, it's truly impressive what they've been capable of so far, especially with the adjustments from round 1. I think that's the biggest thing for me here. You know, Virtus.pro immediately had an understanding. Okay, Furia's going to want to hold angles here, so how do we counteract that? We'll get active towards the outside of the building, and active they have been, especially with that Boss G play. I mean, whenever any of us see something like that, we just go, oh, that guy's feeling himself.
Yeah. Once again, going to be one of those basement defenses. Everybody's on the first floor for Virtus.pro, so should be a slower round that we tend to see. Furia, much the same operator lineup. They don't have the Sens this time, but they're still looking to go top down, then probably get a push in through Freezer, whether they go the hatch or they do the same thing as last time, where They do just try to make an entry through the breach and go that way after they clear out the VIP player, but again, it is Dan playing that position. No longer on the Warden, instead swapping himself over to the Vigil. The right call, because he was on drone the previous time that he was playing this position, so if he does get pushed and there is a rat drone somewhere inside of VIP, he'll be able to hide from cover with that. So I actually really like that change in operator coming through from Dan, despite the fact he's playing the same position. Some of these players on Furia, though, are looking for different angles.
Yes, sir. Well, before we get too deep into this execute here, I do want to give you guys a little update. So if you don't want to spoil for G2 NIP, please mute the stream now. I'll give you 3 seconds. Okay. G2 have won up against Ninjas in Pajamas 2-1. And a very impressive feat, because that best of 3, I think, was a lot tighter than the vast majority of people were giving it credit for.
Yeah, that means that the winner of this game will be playing G2 in the semifinals tomorrow. So that's going to be a high-pressure game. Can't think about that right now if you're VP or Furia. This is going to be a bakery push that ends up coming out, so a bit of a different game plan for Furia now, just avoiding Dan and VIP, and they do find the opening pick.
What a way to find that frag. The eye of the needle, Herds capable of pushing a camel through it, apparently. He'll take down one. Always will finally find something for the defense, as they've done a pretty good job of being able to just take their time here and see how Furia is going to try and enter the building. But Furia have done a bang-up job of breaking down said building. I mean, Virtus.pro looking quite worse for wear. A very long angle here and a shot that must be hit. The case is going down, but they can't kill the red player. The verticality up top is too strong, let alone the fact that Herds is decimating every opponent that he comes into contact with. Furia with a fine adjustment on this round, recognizing that Furia, or rather VP, really wanted to slow things down, bring it back to bear on the site. So Furia choose to, well, peel up the floorboards and make things complicated.
Another round for Furia on the board, another one that comes after a double entry from Herds. Doesn't happen from the windows this time, Sam. He's just playing by big door, and the swings come his direction, and man, Herds does not miss those very often. I would argue maybe the best aim in the world when you're looking just at individual mechanics. Always leading the world in headshot percentage, 71%. Highest of any player at this tournament when you look at the season overall. Headshot's not everything, but I think it really does speak to his consistency in finding those frags and finding them in maybe some of the more difficult ways. Herds is always able to step up and do that, and it's incredibly impressive considering after yesterday's victory over W7M, he tweeted about how he's got tonsillitis at this event and how he was playing through a fever through his entire game yesterday. We certainly wish him well, and I hope he's feeling a little bit better today, but regardless of how he's feeling, it is not easy playing under those circumstances.
Brother, are you telling me that we're going to have a Michael Jordan flu game right here live?
We might be, Sam. We might be.
Oh, man. Yeah, you guys better be paying attention to that ticker down there for Herds, because I don't know if you guys have had tonsillitis before, but it sucks. Yeah. It is not fun. So the fact that he is really even able to focus at this high of a level up against people like Pasha, Joystick, and Shepard, I mean, very, very impressive stuff. So hopefully he's able to channel as much of that energy as he can. We'll definitely be feeling for him for the rest of this series, but so far so good for them. Furia back out of the gates here for round 6, what will be their last offensive round unless we get to overtime. Couple of adjustments here. I especially like that since we did have that third ban come in here, Furia are now bringing out some more creative operators, some of the things that are a little bit more annoying to deal with on the defense. Practically 4 out of the 5, really. I mean, Ash is just a little icing on the cake, right? Blackbeard, Deimos, Lion, Dokkaebi, things you don't want to hear said if you're on the defensive end.
The logic bombs come out, and so do the first couple of kills. Sam Shepard gets the first, but it's traded back by KZ on the Deimos. Managed to make a lot of big space, and KZ's not done.
What?
Still finds more. Triple kill come through with the pistol. They're finding everybody now. VP have to run back to site.
Herds is putting this case down. JV, yes, gone, but it's up to Dan. This was just KZ legitimately walking through the map and eliminating every single person that he could find with a revolver. Truly disgusting stuff. And sometimes that's all it takes, folks. It's not as simple as him just walking in. They spotted that gap, and they're able to abuse it to its highest potential. Off the back of those logic bombs, off of the back of the early information, they're able to capitalize and take that third round.
Yeah, that's exactly it, Sam. I mean, everything was happening at the same moment in that push. Logic bomb was coming out, plant was going down, KZ was killing everybody. So there's a lot of things to focus on if you're Virtus.pro in a round like that. look at the 3-3 split, and I kind of mentioned earlier in this game, that's almost a bare minimum, right? You're really worried if this gets a little bit out of hand, how this might end up going for the team. You see a little bit of chat going on from the coaches too. I'm not sure if that was attack timeout or if they are actually allowed to converse a little bit at that halftime. I'll have to check on that and get back, but regardless, it does feel like these two teams are neck and neck in the server. The side swap might make a difference in that. Furia, as I mentioned, 70% defensive win rate through this season so far. They played it 8 times. Virtus.pro, only 1 play. And in that 1 play, they played 6 attacking rounds. They won 2 of them. So small sample size, but still going to be one where you're looking to see Furia probably come out on top. Unless Virtus.pro could do something really spectacular here on their offense.
Well, it's as tight-knit as we would expect it to be between these two, especially given the circumstances of what we saw at SI 2024. Back when Furia was W7M and picked up their very first hammer.
Yeah.
Looks like we're getting the second part of the trilogy here. Pretty excited for this.
No, this is really something special, Sam. I mean, teams of this high quality do not go against each other all the time, and certainly on LAN, I think it makes it all that more important. Elimination, best of 3, just raises the stakes even more. So we're certainly getting the game that we wanted out of these two teams. Furia choose to start top floor. This is not a bomb site that Virtus.pro seemed to like at all. They didn't even run it once. That might have had something to do with the Clash and Castle ban, right? Those coming in make the top floor a little bit more risky to hold on to. Only one of the 2 do get banned. Castle and Azami, it's only the Castle this time, which will yield Azami on the board, and it's actually not brought by Furia, so they don't feel like it's going to be that necessary to their hold. Might have prepped to hold without it and just got comfortable that way.
Early days here on Virtus.pro's very first Cafe offense. As expected, to the roof we shall rise as we start to drone things out. Obviously a bar cocktail defense here for Furia, and a pretty straightforward one at that. Some laser gates to hold up potentially some windows and doors, and then Doc Warden to really just try and get in the face of the opponents. You can really say that just about the rest of the lineup there for Furia, as they'll look to try and fight fire with fire once Virtus.pro attempt to make their entry.
It's quite a heavy commitment to the second floor. Both KZ and Fleetfox are playing down there. They have rotates up, of course. White stairs will be the main way to get back to the site, but it'll be interesting to see if they want to do anything from down there. A Nitrocell does get held by KZ, so that would kind of be the main threat that he brings, but it's got to be paired with information. Otherwise, you're just tossing with blind luck. Could be a swing over onto Heaven as well from these players that might just run out that reading room doorway. But for now, Sam, I mean, it's been all quiet. There's the first strike, and Nade able to grab that kill.
It's going to be Dan going down. The most important piece of the puzzle when it comes to the utility available for Bravo to try and steal, but obviously still want to have the capability to have that gun up, but Joystick will have the equalizer. Okay, we're rolling back the clock here, my friend. Nice shots at a Joystick and that 5.52 commando. It'll bring us down to the last minute.
Diffuser's on the roof, so they've got to be a little bit cognizant of that. Somebody's got to go back to get it. It'll be Always who is tasked with that job. Meanwhile, everybody else just focus on getting the site control, Sam. They've got loads of map pressure at the moment and man advantage.
Okay, Z running into a little bit of an issue here with that cocktail window player. He'll get lit up just a little bit. Joystick will flirt with the cigar door, wraps over to New Balk once again here. Don't believe that he knows somebody's down low near Brown, though, so this could potentially become an issue. They most definitely know that JV is playing around Deep Freeze, though, as this deployable shields here. He's been sending shots for a while. He'll blow up that shield and try and swing on, and he'll find the first one. The second one will go the way of JV92. It's a triple kill. They need to find a place for the case, but KZ! Practically wearing a ghillie suit here inside of Cocktail. He'll take him with the super shorty.
Oh, Sam, the trades were absolutely perfect for Virtus.pro right up until they weren't. They had such a good clear. They were using their numbers. They knew where these players were at. They said, Fleetbox below, we can ignore him. That's fine. JV's inside a freezer. We can double swing him. We'll get the trade. We still have numbers. That's fine. We know that we know that KZ is inside a Cocktail. We still got 2 players left alive. That's okay. We can make a swing and get the trade, and it's totally fine. Until it isn't. Just better on the side of KZ, prone inside a Cocktail. Hopefully we get to see that once again, too. Might have whipped the first one, but then the super short, he just is able to get it done in the end. That's such a scary round for the way that it plays out. I will say, Sam, even if he loses that, Fleetbox is still alive, and there's only about 7 seconds. They're not holding the fuse kit. So I'm going to say that they probably win it anyways, but KZ makes it easier. Why not?
Yeah. And honestly, just so impressive that he was able to make so much chaos in a moment like that. I mean, you could see the eyes of the IQ staring at him in the face while swinging into Cocktail, but there's so little time, Jesse. You can't communicate something like that. That's why that other player's looking all the way on the other side of Cocktail. He just never got to see the head of KZ. They're mismanaged, they're not on the same page, and KZ able to get 2 quick kills with that super shorty. Not something that you see every day, but that's why we love games like this, because they bring some magical moments like what we just saw. Furia will take the lead now after quite some time. The only time we've seen it was when they won the very first round, and then it's been the VP show since then.
Yeah, it was a conversation with Whip It 2 days ago where Dan kind of talked about how he thought their main thing that they needed to work on was that communication. Obviously, it's not easy in the high-pressure end-of-round moments, but that's where the best teams do shine the brightest. So Virtus.pro not able to lock that one down. Furia moved to the bottom floor this time, so VP really in love with the middle floor, really in love with dining. Furia not so much. Definitely a different take between these two squads. You also do notice, again, I just quickly want to go back to the bans, no shields being banned from Furia. They don't seem to respect VP as a shield team, as it's been a relatively new invention since they started bringing these operators. Shepard will be on the fuse, and I do believe that is fuse shields, so it'll be interesting to see what he gets done with that. I imagine he wants to use those cluster charges up inside of dining, up inside of train, start to clear out some of the floorboards to help out his teammates with this top-down play, because every other shield's available if he wanted it.
Yeah, he wants to make it a living hell inside of the site. You know what I mean? You get all that verticality up here, and what's the one thing that really sucks when you're bringing up that verticality from the top floor down low? Sometimes you just can't dislodge people correctly to get them to move into the angles you need, right?
For sure.
And this is one of those things that can really solve that issue. And what else do you notice? Oh yeah, Furia's banned Grim, and they banned Capital. That's exactly what they don't want them to have. Shepard is trying to supplement something to try and assist this situation.
So I'm going to expect it to be a freezer take at this point. They could still pivot, but if it is, talked about how important Dan was in that position. It's going to be Herds playing that spot this time around. He's going to be the one, the Warden. He's going to be the one who needs to step up and make sure he can get a kill or two before this push comes forward. These cluster charges start to do some damage, and Casey down already from a vert angle. That's the smoke off the board. Probably the most important operator you could have killed.
And that's the thing about those cluster charges. It's going to force movement, and they're able to get that smoke because of it. 40 seconds remaining, and yes, that might seem like a little bit of time, but Virtus.pro, they've got all the time in the world when it comes to the siege clock. Pasha holding on to red. I don't know if he knows one's over near a bag, but he'll check it. A lot of barbed wire. There's people everywhere. Pasha just challenges it, but I think it's because we have some things going on in sight. The fuse is in just a bad way. Always will be able to assist. The fuse still alive, but JV92 will take one for himself, and all of a sudden this entire round is just so very discombobulated. They don't know where these players are pouring in from, but they're still finding the frags. Joystick with a nice find of his own. He'll be able to slip back into freezer, as Shepard will attempt to put this plant down. Nade finds Shepard and Joystick through the verticality. The shoe is on the other foot, as Virtus.pro simply don't have the bodies to try and assist themselves.
Sam, that round was total chaos. I was watching the top-down feed, and it just looked like a Benny Hill moment where everybody was running around. Nobody knew what was going on. Shepard got into that plant spot so early in the round. He was there very confidently. He had always covering above, and then always died. He's like, okay, I can't plant. But then it's okay, he's got the horizontal coverage coming in instead from Joystick. And then Joystick died. He's like, I can't plant. And then eventually he gets pushed, he's got to get kills on his own. And at the end of the day, it's not enough. It really does come down to the wire. If Shepard could just have found a way to get that plant down, maybe if Joystick was on more than 1 HP, that could have been a bit more winnable, but Nade steps up in the end. That is a devastating round to lose if you're VP.
Oh, Jesse, it's just one of those situations where they don't exactly know where that other player is, right? So they make that decision. They're going to plant closer to the front of bunker back there. It makes you really think, maybe if they plant a little bit closer to Coffee there at the back end of that same space, maybe they're able to get the plant down, but that's a big thing. Now we're nitpicking. You really never know which way those kind of situations are going to go, and lucky enough for the Furia fans, they're able to find the light at the end of the tunnel, so peel that one back in a pretty perplexing 2 versus 2 that seemed a little bit too easy for Fleetbox.
Well, attack timeout gets called from VP. needing a moment to slow this down, to readjust on the attacks. They've yet to find even one successful offensive operation. If they lose their third straight, that's going to put Furia on match point. If they win their opponent's map pick, that puts VP in a horrendous situation in the series overall. This felt like a must-needed map, despite the fact that it's been good for Furia historically. Still one that Virtus.pro wanted to be able to take. They felt confident. There's a reason why they chose this, but they're going to have to reset a little bit. Talking with Karjeka, of course, coach of this team, get them back online, get them back in the server to focus up, because it's not going to get any easier when you're facing a team like Furia.
Yep, Karjeka would know a lot about that. Been a member of this squad for a very long time, a former player for Team Empire as well when they were underneath that organization. And quite a tenured history in Rainbow Six Siege, if I do say so myself. One of my most memorable moments with him would definitely be Milan in 2019, up against Evil Geniuses. A lot of North Americans have nightmares about that game. We'll take it as a showcasing of just how good the CIS region can potentially be. Virtus.pro, after that tactical timeout with Karjeka, will look to try and adjust some things. We've got some more execute utility pouring in here with Shepard. And the big thing about this Ying, if it starts to be a little bit too good in this round, that is an option for Furia for that third ban.
Yeah, it's a super common target on Cafe, probably the most commonly banned operator other than the shield. So its effectiveness this round will kind of determine how things go later on. Kiba Barrier is also going to be a threat and a target for that last defender ban. We're seeing how impactful those can be just to keep these top floor players alive. JV92 and Herds have both existed for so long in these aggressive positions. Not because Herds doesn't want to go for some picks, and he takes his opportunity but doesn't find it yet. He's so annoying in this spot, Sam.
He is, and he's going to get aggressive because guess what? You're not playing ticket window, god damn it. You're not swinging. Furia take full advantage of that, and they will simply run amok. That's all they really needed to do at the end of the day. Virtus.pro are starting to fall into some trenches of too much respect right now. And Furia, they see the look on their faces, and they are out for blood. Pasha will go down. It's looking like a flawless round starting to build here in round 9.
All right, well, you jinxed that one, Sam. Always good
curse,
one.
baby.
But Herds is not going to feel bad about going down there, okay? If there's one player in Siege that is never afraid to die, it's Herds, and so he's certainly gotten his kills getting ready for this round. Top floor usually at this point would be given up by the defense, but Furia feel themselves, and they're a team who do not give up ground if they're not forced to. So they will continue to play this top floor. There's a player inside a cocktail that's going to be nade. That flash goes his direction, but unfortunately doesn't find much, and Shepard, little to do here, Sam.
Yeah. If anything, if I'm Shepard, it's probably a pseudo timeout. Maybe go to the roof, but no, he's going to hold the angle. He'll get hopped out on from White, and Furia really starting to compete here on Cafe.
I think when you go back to it, right, it's that initial push that comes out from Herds, from Pixel into Piano, obviously, right? Like, that's the big play that gets things going. That play happens in minute 40, Sam. That's pretty deep into the round, right? I mean, it's not the end of the round by any means, but at that point, Virtus.pro have had a decent chunk of time to start to work the top floor, to get in. You saw that they had played a position inside a Cigar. They'll start using some of their utility, but at a minute 40 on the clock, they still had all 4 Candelas in pockets, all 2 Smokes still in pockets, still a nade in the pocket of Always, all 3 Selmas still in the pocket of Pasha. They just hadn't really been using their util up until that point. There was still a lot that they could have used, and I'm sure it would have come. I'm sure VP were planning on using that utility in a really great way to clear out those top floor players. But if you give Fury the opportunity to stop you from setting up, to stop you from letting you go for that push, I mean, that is on Virtus.pro at the end of the day. You're the ones who are taking too long and are opening the door for Furia to make aggressive moves like that because you're not applying the pressure soon enough.
Absolutely.
Feels like we're seeing them just fall back to that old VP style that wasn't finding as much success internationally. That new fast-paced VP doesn't seem to be in the server right now.
Yeah, because they'll take advantage of you as soon as it reaches critical mass, just like that. And the recognition there from Herds with that little fight that he had on the ticket window, and he goes, this guy's not going to peek me again, at least here for a couple of seconds. So this is my time to step up and eliminate anybody in Cigar. And of course, we find that player over there on New Balcony thinking that things are covered from that double, because why wouldn't they be? We have somebody repelled on the ticket window. Well, Herds found that moment in time. Sometimes that's all it takes. mistakes. Even the best players in the world can make mistakes like this, and it's on full display there. Now Furia on to map point here on Cafe, and I mean, things are already very problematic for Virtus.pro.
Yeah, this is really awkward because you've got to win back-to-back to back. See, Hurts, no fear. Now he knows he's in their head, Sam. Now he knows that he's the one that they are fearful of, and so he's able to go for little plays like this.
I can't believe this guy's sick right now.
I know, right?
He's sick in and out of the server.
Yeah, he is. Operator bans did come through exactly as both you and I predicted, by the way, as Ami and Ying. So following the trends, the aggression is not stopping from Furia every chance they get. Going to try to make a good play. That could be that these Claymores being brought will find some value. It's 4 being brought in the pockets of Dan and Pasha. All 4 being placed now at this point, so that's a nice little play. Not sure if there is one outside of Garage. If there is, Bade's about to be in trouble, but it's just a bait this time. Not actually committing to it, make that noise, put even more fear into the hearts of Virtus.pro.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a barren wasteland on the southern part of the map anyways. There's not a single person over there for Virtus.pro, so run out really not even necessary. There's more of a distraction if anybody is around that space. And now Virtus.pro, got a vast majority of these repels set up. We'll drop in towards Cigar again, but are we going to see the same somber song?
What is this angle, KZ? He's got a Nitro cell coming up through the Cigar hatch. Didn't end up committing to it, but I mean, still could go for the flank up the red stairs as well. There's track stingers, of course, and it looks like they're ready for it, but with proper timing, anything is possible. And KZ, he's a tricky bastard. Nitro does not land, unfortunately, and so he's going to have to do this the old-fashioned way or just fall back to site.
Well, Virtus.pro, I know how difficult Cafe offenses can be, especially to get started. But now you're finally in the building. Now it's time to let that chopper sing. See if there's anybody that could potentially get this pick. I love this aggression from KZ. He knows that nobody's going to influence anything from this other portion of the building, so he's just being a damn nuisance.
Yep.
Just keep that thing dinging. What, do you want to get down off the rappel, Shepard? I know that you have to manage these windows, and guess what? If I stand right here, then you can't do anything about it, unless you want to rappel all the way over, and I shoot you in your face. So far, so amazing here from Furia, as they are doing everything in their control up against VP, minus stopping the plant. Nobody knows this man's planting in the middle of goddamn Long Bar, and Virtus.pro are somehow winning the round. What in the hell is happening?
No shot in the 1v4, surely, Sam. I mean, this has been ridiculous so far. There it goes. Dan finishes him off, and that's going to be a clean round going down. Beautifully played and read by Virtus.pro. They saw what Furia were doing, okay? They said there's guys throwing nitros up the Cigar hatch at us. There's guys running outside of the garage breach. There's so many players down below that we can probably just go plant. And Dan was the one to find that entry point, thread the needle, get the defuse kit on the ground. Immediately after that plant goes down, stands up, gets the first kill of the round, and keeps them coming. Got the final frag too there, as you saw in the replay, so was really able to just dominate the round, start to finish. Beautifully played by Dan. He found the gap, realized the games that Furia were playing, and decided, I'm not going to play along. No shot.
Truly incredible, especially with that plant spot as well, Jesse. You never see somebody plant practically out in the middle of Long Bar, just hugging things underneath the skylight, hoping nobody peeks him, and it works out. That player inside of Cocktail on the right-hand side instead of the left, not able to really swing out in any conducive fashion to find him. And instead, Dan is the one that delivers in that scenario. Truly mind-boggling, but what else would you expect between these two teams? Furia trying to, kick up a sandstorm on that second floor, constantly trying to get at the necks of Virtus.pro as they manage the windows outside, but the shoe's on the other foot as Virtus.pro get that plant and get the round to boot. Now, still a long road ahead of them. Need 2 rounds to guarantee overtime here, but a heck of a lot closer than they once were.
Game's not over till it's over, Sam. We're seeing the late Valkyrie setup coming out from Herds. They tried to hide 2 operators there. Herds was hiding in train the entirety of the prep phase. JV on the Kaid, was also trying to hide. He did get droned actually quite early on, so he wasn't successful in hiding out on the Kaid, and so Virtus.pro will be aware of that. They've only brought impact EMPs, and they don't have an IQ or anything, so a little bit scary on the side of VP. If you don't get that Electroclaw, if you don't guess correctly where it is, it could be a big issue for you. At the same time, you're playing Ace, so the freezer hatch can just be popped from the sides. Maybe not the biggest deal for them if they do end up losing that.
Doesn't seem like they're too concerned with it right now, but that might start to become an issue here in a minute. Is obviously Furia, practically every single body, yes, every single body downstairs on a full horizontal hold, meaning Virtus.pro have full access to the full breadth of what the middle floor has to offer. Looking to try and get rid of this. It'll be an EMP down low, as they're more than likely putting an Electro Claw underneath on the ground, and that's exactly what it is. It's over near Coach Check as JV92 tries to hold on to things, but he won't have the opportunity. Track Singer's down to try and hold up the flank, and now this is when we get down to brass tacks.
Yeah, I really like the utes so far from Virtus.pro. I mean, completely ignoring that Kaid Claw. It didn't really do anything in this round because they saw it so early. They brought the correct tools. They didn't fumble the job. The Valkyrie cameras are maybe a little scarier, but they've started to ping them out, so they're aware that they do exist, at least on the site. Not sure if they've still been found up above. There are yokais as well that'll be moving around the bomb site and providing a lot of information. One VIP and one still inside a freezer to watch the drop. First playing inside a VIP should be the first point of contact as the gunfight comes in.
Joystick? Does he know this man's inside a VIP? This could change the entire round if he's able to find him with that Nitro cell in his hands. Herds is still ready. It seems like they've got a ping out over there. The Nitro will go out towards Shepard. The swing coming in from Herds. Joystick, it's a must win. They'll finally be able to get it. VP with 2 big picks. Yokai's in here, though. This could be a huge situation here, especially with KZ up close and personal. He runs in. He's trying to bully the round away from them, but how do you bully a mountain? He'll get knocked on his ass and murdered. 20 seconds remain for Nate and JV92 to try and pull this back across the line. Pull Cafe back into their favor. They've got some yokais. It's a double kill. He'll be able to hold on for just a split second. Oh my days. He's been discovered. Oh my heartbeat, Jesse. It hurts. As just for a split second there, you think Echo has an opportunity until he's executed inside of Bakery.
Yeah, thank God they don't lose track of that one. Virtus.pro do manage to get it done. Stay alive in this game, most importantly, now 6-5. It was a really cool strat from Furia. They had all the setup around Freezer. They had the Yokai constantly spamming this Montaigne, and so that was supposed to provide an opportunity for somebody to make a move. First it was Herds who was trying to swing out from VIP, but was being watched by Joystick on the stairs. Then it was the smoke of KZ who just sprinted in with the shotgun, but he was too discombobulated, Sam. Didn't know where he was trying to shoot at. Couldn't find the Monty until it was too late. By the time he tried to back off, he was low HP anyways. Just ended up falling. So it's good ideas, but it's just a little bit scrappy in the way it's being put together. It really feels like in these late rounds, Sam, Furia are starting to fall apart under the pressure. They got to 6, but the 7th is sometimes the hardest to find.
I really think that you can chalk this up to Virtus.pro and their capability to kind of put a cage around Furia. You could see it in the highlights there. The positioning from VP punishing a lot of the different plays that Furia are going for. You think of the player moving in through Whiskey, trying to assist with that white hallway. We have Pasha over towards Brown Stairs just waiting on him. Situations like that popping up over and over again here as Virtus.pro starting to seem like they have a good semblance on what they need to go for up against Furia here. But the biggest deal is that this roster is known for their adaptations. They're known for being able to change things up on a dime and constantly find a solution that gives them success. For Furia, it comes down to this. Can you try and take this away in max regulation?
Mining, dining, I mean, the setup is very similar from Furia. We're going to have that same 3-man hold up above, Herds, JV, and Nade, with Herds being the real front runner at the top of kind of Pixel and White. Then you see JV a little bit farther back inside the bar in the freezer. Then you're going to see Nade all the way back inside a Cocktail. These exact same 3 positions they were playing with earlier that ended up being such a huge problem for VP. This is where they need to be a little bit faster, Sam. I do not want to see them let just Furia go for those aggressive plays like they did last time. They have to get active with their utility and take these gunfights to Furia before Furia can take them to them.
100%. And not only in the gunfights, Jesse, but in the utility. Look across the board here. Goyos, Fenrirs, Wubs, everything in the world to potentially slow you down, and Legion to boot. I mean, Virtus.pro have got to be on their timing. It's time to shift this thing into 5th gear and see what we can potentially do. Virtus.pro still doing a little bit of searching to try and find find a really positive entry here. Fortunately enough, they've already gotten Joystick inside of Cigar, as he'll continue to try and search for this initial pick.
Still some pressure. I mean, Hurd has not left the position pick, so Nade's not left his position either. They are really hunting for this kill, but the time is starting to tick down, Sam. They haven't done it. They haven't gotten aggressive to find that. More Goyo cannons are just going to keep getting popped.
Oh, Nade, what a shot! A perfect moment in time. A kill inside of a vacuum, as no one will be able to try and refrag him at all. Fortunately enough for them, Joystick, once again from Cigar, able to find some value as he'll down Hertz. Pasha gets one as well. Virtus.pro starting to propel themselves forward. He sees the blood on the ground. He'll find the kill as they'll rotate over towards the white hallway. The top floor now in their control as Furia has abandoned ship, but they haven't abandoned the site.
JV and KZ made the decision to run back down white. They think the 3v4 hold is going to be advantageous to them. Shepard in a very sneaky position up the red stairs. Could catch them off guard for a late round push. And this defuse kit's going to be dropping trains to go for one of the two different bomb sites they can push for. So really scary situation for VP.
What? What a shot out of Philippox. Discovery work. Furia patiently awaiting any Virtus.pro threat, any threat at all. It doesn't matter what your name is. JV92 has your number. And Pasha with a lot to say and a little amount of time. JV92 shuts it down. Furia will take Cafe away from the Russian machine.
Oh, 12-round 1v1 at the end, Sam. It doesn't get closer than that. JV92 stands up when they need him the most, gets the final kill to be able to shut that down. It really felt like Pasha had it in him to get the job done, to secure the 1v2. He knew the positioning. He had just enough time, but unfortunately, he's not better than JV92. Ridiculous play coming in from him. 1.31 KDR heading into this tournament. Probably the most consistent support flex inside of Siege right now. He is so incredibly talented, and he always lets you know too. One of those players that will step up and talk about it after he makes a big play. Really well done by JV.
Well, what an amazing map here on Cafe. I'm excited to see what our analysts have to say, and fortunately enough, they're ready right now.
I'ma keep it a buck. As the analyst, we don't really have much to say. You guys will probably find out why pretty soon once the camera does turn to us. But until then, this has been an insane appetizer of what we can expect in the next couple of maps. And honestly, even like round after round, there were highlights of exactly what we touched upon earlier, and where we're like, there is always going to be a little bit of magic that Furia just pulls out of thin air to be able to close things out.
There is, and honestly, when we're looking at Furia in this crowd and the fans, I can imagine that they're bringing that spark, to bringing that fire. These fans in the crowd, we sat there for a little bit as well. The passion is insane. It is incredibly loud in that arena, and they're supporting Furia to this first victory here today. I mean, starting out on attack is quite a risky choice, especially on Cafe, but it worked out so well for them.
Yeah, it was a big surprise for me. Obviously, when you see that kind of map being picked, you should expect the team that picks it to end up in attack, because the team then in front of them will pick the easiest side, the defense. But Furia comes in with a gamble. They come in and they choose attack, and they have 3 attacks that they put down, and that's the biggest difference with VP. One single round that they won more than VP on that side, and the biggest difference is always in that little bit of magic in the gunplay.
It is, and we have a little bit of, I don't know if this is like magic. I can hear myself twice. Okay, there we go. A little bit of magic as well on the analyst desk as we borrow these. We promise that we will give them back. So
we got in trouble asking for this.
Yes,
twice. You know, you actually said it's probably easier to sneak out with a trophy than to sneak out. Like, that is so true, but we'll bring them back. Either way, we sat in the crowd, we heard the fans, we've seen what Furia is able to do. The fans are bringing the magic. Furia is bringing the magic, but something that you also really have to touch upon is how close it was, because VP could have pushed this to OT, could have won this.
It's consistent with these guys whenever they play each other. So much experience. One of the only 2 rosters in Siege that have not made changes in modern history. They always know their number, but one big difference, and every single time, is the skill set. If we take a look at some of these rounds, honestly, there were so many examples of VP playing the right way, but then Furia overcoming them with sheer skill here. It was a consistent thing across attack and defense. Let's take an example here on round 3. You see Gridlock going into this crossfire, gets the first kill, trades the second one instantly. Another example here. You see a bakery hold, very turtle. You see the Melusi, the Aruni, all of this to turn burn time. Hertz quick pick this, dry pick by the way, gets an insane skill here, and then the Capital bolts from Felipox enable him to get the second kill once again. And we see another example here. In defense, when he's on dock, look at this player holding him on minibar. He's scared. He doesn't want to take the gunfight. He's too scared of the gunfight. So then Hertz recognizes that and pushes in, gets the cigar kill. And later in the round, you see Felipox, he goes up, get the kill, and Doc is still in piano. Everyone is so scared of this player because they always win the important gunfights.
Which is crazy to me, because normally we say this about Virtus.pro all the time. You do not want to give these players 1v1s because they have that incredible gun skill to be able to win out that 1v1 successfully. But then when we look at Furia on the other side, if there's anyone that has incredible gun skill, it is these 5 players. They step up every single time, and it just reinforces the point that I made about Hertz as well, right? That quad kill, the 6 rounds other than that, he only had 2 kills. So once again, he is being anything but the Avatar, stepping up when Furia need him the most.
Yes, and VP now also needs to step up as they have just lost that first map. We still have 2 more potentially coming your way, but at least 1 coming up next in this best of 3 of Furia against VP. So stick around because you don't want to miss it.
Level up your gaming experience with over 8 billion playlists, only on Spotify, the official audio streaming partner for the 2025 Esports World Cup.
Pengo. Old man, I think is 8. Old man 2, 9. Good player. I think is the best eye in the siege. Top 3. Canadian old man 10. Old man 7. Felipox, my captain, top 1. Old man, no titles. I think is 11, but no possible, so 6. Hertz, top 2. Paulo, it's a good player, but not too good. 5. Alemão, my son. Alemão is a good player, but versus me, shooks, nervous. I think is 4.
Pengo, I will put 5. 6.
Shaiko, you ever heard of the guy?
Nah, but I will put it 1. Canadian, I will put 7. Goga, 8. Felipox, 4. Nesk, 3. Herds, I can't put it 10, so 2. Damn. I have only 10. Did I did all the one at 10? Oh, 9 then.
We'll give Pengu 8. Let's put him 5. Number 6. I'll put Shaiko on 3rd spot. Number 1. Chargo's number 1. Goga number 10 for now. I had Shaiko on 3rd. Canadian on 1. I'm gonna put him on 3rd. Nesk, 4th. I'm gonna put him in 2nd right now. Paulo number 5. Alamau shared 4th. Who is my GOAT of all of these? Nostalgia, I think Penguin Canadian.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the EWC stage here in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. I hope you guys had a little bit of a break, were able to go do whatever you needed to do before we got back into this map and this series between Furia and Virtus.pro. If you missed our first map, it was on Cafe, and it was a pretty solid banger, I would say. Max regulation, Virtus.pro a 1v1 away from forcing overtime. And Jesse, now we're going to bank.
Yeah, Sam, I mean, this is going to be a real test, I think, for Virtus.pro. They lose map 1, that was their own pick. Now they go to their opponent's pick of Bank, which is always going to be a scary prospect, and they're facing elimination. You lose on Bank, you're going to be going home out of the tournament. For Virtus.pro, it's their first time at Esports World Cup. They've never made it to this event before, despite being one of the best teams in Rainbow Six Siege. For Furia, they've shown up, not just with all of their teammates and support staff, but they brought an army of fans as well who have been supporting them throughout this battle, helped them secure that 1-0 lead that they now go into Bank with. So I'm going to be feeling confident about this. Furia have won every type of tournament throughout Rainbow Six Siege. They've won Majors, they've won the Six Invitational, they won Reload, but they've yet to win the Esports World Cup. This is the one event that they still need to check off the list, and so they are hungry to make sure that they get the job done, and this is the first opponent in their path as far as playoffs are concerned, Sam.
Well, today is a day where we see if robots have feelings. As Bank is loading up, Virtus.pro is looking to force us onto border. 2 years ago, these teams faced off at SI 2024. Back when Furia was W7M. That last map in that series was Border, as now Furia were able to take it and take the hammer as well. Virtus.pro is looking to rewrite history, be able to walk the clock back a little bit, and be able to get a little revenge for what happened years ago. Virtus.pro and Furia are moments away from launching into Bank and Lynx. Oh my gosh, dude.
Wow.
Jesse, I'm so very excited. They die very hard,
Yes,
brother.
they do.
They die very, very hard.
All right, well, and Taro, we've got a really good game coming up.
Oh, that almost hurt more.
Spoilers from the B stream, by the way, if you want to hear them. The winner of this will be playing against G2 in the semifinals, who beat NIP earlier today. Really exciting game that ended up going on. And that series, that was B stream, was a very close match that did end up going all the way to overtime. That third map was a really close one, so we'll see if this one manages to go the distance as well. You'd like to hope that it will, with, of course, these two caliber of teammates, but I really do think that for Virtus.pro, it's going to be about adaptation, right? It's going to be about forming into the meta that we're in right now, getting really involved with Furia's playstyle, and making sure that you are able to read into it and counter it hard.
I think it's going to be about who has a ukulele player in the crowd, but that's just my personal, breakdown of things. And with 5 seconds remaining on the clock, it's time to get down to business. No more jokes, no more fun and games. It's Rainbow Six Siege between Furia and Virtus.pro. Bank loaded up. The players in the server, we're into the bans. Clash and Ace already gone. Probably going to see another hard breach go because, well, it's Bank, Jesse. Oh, we're not. It's going to be Capital. The Habana's going to stay up.
Really interesting. Yeah, I was sure it was going to be Kaid and Hib. Kaid is by far the most banned operator here on Bank, so it was a little surprising to go first, but pair it with the Clash, I think makes a lot of sense. Furia have been a really great Clash team so far this stage. I have to say it. If I can put an opinion out into the void, I would say that Nate is the best Clash player that we saw throughout stage one. He really did use that operator well. We saw a couple times from Philippe Box and hers as well, but I thought that he used it really exceptionally at a high level.
Yeah.
So he gets banned out by Virtus.pro alongside the Kaid, and then the Capitao ban targeting now down onto Virtus.pro. It's an operator that they do tend to play sometimes. It'll be interesting to see kind of who that ends up targeting down. I know that's an operator that we do see quite a lot from Shepard throughout the regular season. He brought that quite a few times. Pasha as well brought it 7 times for his buddy. So a couple of these players will like to play that operator when it's available, but not available today as it does get banned out.
Well, now as we load things up for the very first time here on Bank, into round 1 we go between these two. Prep phase done. No more crossing of T's or dotting of I's. It's down to blood, sweat, and tears to see who can potentially win things out here on Bank. And quite a conducive strategy for success for Furia on this basement. You can see it all across this op lineup, what the name of the game is. And it's all deny, deny, deny. They want to make sure that Virtus.pro are not going to be able to work their way in here and get a plant down successfully. Now, will there be some more aggressive tendencies? That's really the only question on my mind, because a lot of these ops do need to stay alive to be able to use their utility. You're thinking Herds, Fleepox, and Nade more than likely will be the safety net later on down the line.
Yeah, light roam, and I mean, it's mostly JV92 playing inside of open area. Don't think that we're going to see him go for anything too crazy. Starts feeling some pressure. Probably just looking to shoot some drones. Herd stops server stairs, playing very passive position as well, and you do have Nade technically who was on that top floor, but drops the elevator hatch as I speak. That 2-minute mark, Sam. It's going to prompt all of these players to fall on off. Herd's taking a little bit of damage, but other than that, everybody else in their own game decides we're going to fall back, we're going to concede that space. We need to have all 5 alive for the push.
One of the better things to do, not only on Bank, but a multitude of maps where you can get away with a small roam game. Show a little face, Jesse. Shake a little leg. Get some drones in there and be able to take those things out. Beauty of that is the offense then has to respect you and whatever the heck you got going on from where they last saw you. So they'll do their due diligence and start to clear things out. Herds will get marked by one of those death mark trackers from Dan. So continue to sit here at the bottom of blue stairs. This is a pretty tasty prospect for him, especially with that M590 and the fact that they've got so much utility to pour into this situation. He just put his first smoke down. Now here's the one thing though, just a little caveat. There's 2 ways that this can go down. He can swing off this smoke right here and just push his way through, and that's exactly what Always will do. Persistence is the name of the game, and Virtus.pro now making headway towards the bomb site.
Maybe we don't need Blackbeard, Sam. I mean, Always just makes this operator look like it's completely irrelevant. Coming in with the fuse and doing just as good of a job to take down that kill. Long angle from KZ all the way back in garage will find Shepard, so it's going to equalize numbers, but this is a traditional push, right, Sam? Virtus.pro inside security, 30 seconds still to go. How do they deal with the Tachanka? How do they deal with the Echo? That's my big question.
Really, it's just you got to kill him, Jesse. They have so much utility right here to stop all of this. Always is just going to continue to burn. They've got a Yokai too. They have no choice but to shoot the opponent. There's no space here for Always to try and work this. It's now or never. They're waiting to see if potentially somebody can get him. Somebody finally finds Nade, but the fire was already in transit, and that's more than likely going to be it. Dan tries to stick it. He's on 1 HP. He'll adjust, but he's going to get stopped by the Yokai. He's got one more blast, and Furia, good as gold from the gold vault for the Yokai wielder.
And that's just good old-fashioned util bank basement, Sam. I mean,
yeah, baby.
That's what we love to see, right? Good stall coming through. They wasted a lot of time top floor. I mean, it was weird because there wasn't really much committed there, but it still took Virtus.pro quite a bit of time to get their first pick onto Hers, and the fact that it got immediately traded out too felt a little bit bad for them. They were in the 4v4. A couple of aggressive gunfights started to whip down the numbers from Furia 2, so they're starting to get some good picks on the Virtus.pro, but then it really just does come down. So the operator's always worried about Tachanka and Echo. You don't have time to deal with those, so somebody has to go hit the back. Joystick did his best to try, but he never really found the gap he was looking for and ended up just having to go try to help his planter in any way he could. Wasn't the right call in the end. They couldn't get that on the ground, so really tough coming out from VP. A game of seconds in this case, but those seconds favor Furia.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate because, you know, Furia with that early roam that we talked about, showing face and forcing VP to respect the potential roam, they put so much time into that basket, and that's really where things start to fall down. It's not that they didn't make, you know, solid headway, it's that the timing was poor. And with that amount of utility still on the board from Furia, I mean, we all know it's just green lights for this squad. So they're going to carry it on over into round 2. We'll see if Virtus.pro have any adjustments that they want to make. Really, it's all going to be about that early information gathering for me, Jesse.
Yeah, Sam, I think it's going to come down to kind of what they can glean in these first big 60 seconds at the top floor defense. So they don't have to take gunfights in the early couple seconds if they push this one with 30 remaining. I mean, it's not the end of the world because you don't really need to take map control on a site like top floor. Stock is always going to be an important point of interest, and that's being held down by KZ at the moment. The main window is going to be a big problem for them too. The mirror window currently being held in the pocket of Herds. It's going to be set so that he can put it right next to the first, Sam. If they destroy the first one, the second one comes out in the exact same position. So that'll be kind of the game plan for Furia. Make sure they have vision into CEO.
Positioning will have to be pixel perfect here from Furia on this top floor, Jesse. As we all know, you make one little slip up and you are decimated from a window angle, whether it be from the lobby or over towards those sun windows. Doesn't really matter. Buck underneath here for Dan, and so try and rip up the floorboards above him. Little anti-verticality there, you know, from the Kiba barriers. Virtus.pro doing their best to try and find any gap, any potential here, but continuation of the same story as we will reapply and constantly Furia maintaining their position.
But the window's still closed. These Kiba barriers make it impossible for the Buck. They're eventually going to get bored and just place the second mirror window anyways, because why not? Now you'll show that both of them here are going to be here inside of Janitor. Makes it really tough now. You brought that Zofia instead of the Ash, so you really don't have good counters. It's a nice pick from Dan, but the util's still there.
And a nice pick from KZ, and once again, equal footing. And what do you notice? Very similar time frame to what we had in the last round. And VP not winning the fights that are a necessity at the current moment, wasn't able to find KZ. Always will get a kill onto Felipox, though, as they'll start to open the door back up for themselves. But a pretty bang-up job done by Furia thus far. Still have the potential of delaying and denying things too with the utility that they have at their disposal. But Virtus.pro also have a lot more access to the building than they once did.
40 seconds, I mean, always is jumping out the building. He's going to rotate over to the square window, to the CEO windows. But again, Miros will be watching those if he tries to jump on in. He's going to have to choose some other way to get in, maybe Banana instead. But there's no good option here, Sam.
Yep. That's why you're seeing what we're seeing right now. It's not the worst thing in the world. We've seen plenty of kills from the Skylight Repels before, and Shepard will find one. That's the thing. Sometimes the angles just get awkward, and you'll never even consider it. A nice little find here, 10 seconds remaining, and a chance that Furia are able to make this a 2-0. KZ trying to take his time. He'll swing in, but not this time. Joystick will be able to find his mark with Zofia.
One of the greatest fraggers in the world versus one of the greatest fraggers in the world just a couple of years ago, head-to-head at the end there, Sam. That was really scary from Virtus.pro. They, yes, had the man advantage. They got a couple of good picks from the Repel, but KZ had the defuse kit. 1v2, but Kid is down. There's less than 10 seconds to go. KZ doesn't lose that very often, and so this time does end up going down. It's a good kill from Joystick. He doesn't panic. He doesn't face the pressure. Could have been a real disaster if just a couple of fights went the other way, but that's what we've seen all day long from these two behemoths, right? Every single round gets down to the wire. It's always so incredibly close. KZ does what he can here, but Joystick is too disciplined. Really nice job winning that fight, and they will secure their first round on Bang.
Yeah. Sometimes you just get so pissed off with Virtus.pro about their patience, and then other times you're just like, wow, this is truly incredible what you're able to accomplish. Just working things around that lobby space, finding new angles, waiting to see what Furia want to try and kick up, and they discover some very nice kills to once again open that door back up for themselves. And Furia just getting a little too aggressive at some moments in time there. Those discovery moments from VP coming back to bite them. We'll see what Furia's adjustments are. Now, it is going to be a top floor hold once again, but the bombs aren't there, folks. It's going to be open area kitchen.
Yeah, top floor is actually not super heavily defended. It's Nade playing in checkers at the moment, so we'll see if he stays playing on the Echo. And then Herds, of course, playing that same mirror window setup that he loves so much inside of Janitor. Doing what he can to try to lock down that part of the map and make these windows just impossible to enter, right? If you jump in, it's going to be a problem for you. And if you try to drone in, there's problems for you as well. KZ with that nice little pest will catch the drone. Doesn't stay alive for very long, but still denying that information is incredibly valuable for Furia.
They'll continue to work this top clear. And unfortunately for Nade, his ankles will get eaten up by those bees. Apparently didn't have any bug repellent on him today. So continue to get marked over here. They'll know he's all over checkers. Frag grenade in, but Virtus.pro do not want to attempt for that swing just yet, as it more than likely would lead to their death. We need to see if there's any potential for the spiral space, or if there's just a gap down low. Pasha will continue to search. And knows there's one on the long angle, gets tagged up all the way from top square. And that's the thing about these walls up here, Jesse. Some of these angles get ridiculously long, and this is one of these that are constantly fought over, and Dan will find it with the cameras.
Okay, that'll do good. Manages to find the long angle coming in with the DMR, so that's going to really start things off from Virtus.pro. Was worried they wouldn't be able to. Big trade coming out from Pasha and KZ. 1-for-1 as they shoot each other over towards elevators. Top floor now going to be fully held by Virtus.pro. If they can start to use this verticality, that would be big for them. They don't seem to know 100% that the top floor is free for them. With a man advantage on 65 seconds, I really like their chances during this push, Sam. They are out of the bees, so always won't have any of that to help them out, but they've got quite a bit of hard breach, so that stock hatch is looking mighty juicy as they start to move their push over that direction. And square as well. Going to be looking like a really fine option if that is the direction of the push.
Only 2 drones remaining, and one of them's Shepard that he's currently piloting. It was over towards that lobby area. He'll hop back on it as he'll shove it in towards Teller's office. Not going to have that hard breach come in here. As you can see, Kitchen starting to be the focal point of this push. They do have to worry about Blue, as this is always a hot commodity for rotation, and that's a beautiful find. That's just Joystick being smart and playing Bank a bajillion times.
Yeah, he went down through the sewers, Sam, outside the building, so knew exactly what he had to do to deny that important position. Reflank from Hertz, though, is gone top floor. This could throw a huge wrench in their plans if he lives, but he dies.
What a find. JV92, the last one remaining, but has he slipped through the cracks? That's the real question. A nice find here on Shepard, but Dan's there to be able to sweep it under the rug. And Virtus.pro will get around here yet again.
Another one of those rounds where it's like you're worried about how much time is happening with not a whole lot going on, but slowly but surely, Virtus.pro hold their angles, and they're aware that eventually it'll pay off. They're confident in their ability to get those long-range fights. They just get one. It's just on the nade, but that's good enough for them to start then moving into the top floor. Trade happens elsewhere around the map. They start to take that man advantage and use it really well with the time management. VP in this clock. They like to flirt with it, Sam. Sometimes it gets a little dangerous, but it doesn't seem to matter. In this round here on Bag, it does feel like they've got a good handle on it. That Grim may be being a bit too annoying over the last couple of rounds, though, as it does get removed.
I think it's a pretty solid idea. You don't exactly see echo bands all the time, but I respect that as well here. I mean, they've gotten a lot of value out of those yokais, especially knowing that they have access to that downstairs side again, taking away one of those very impactful operators, let alone impactful, Jesse, but the one that actually decided the round the last time down here. Probably a pretty good idea.
Yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense. It does maybe open the door now for Furia to play a bit more aggressive, right? They don't have that double anchor position anymore where they can deny with all that utility. Well, how about instead go for a little bit of a roam up above? Could be an option for them. They still got the Chachanka, of course, and Nate's not going to want to move off that because he can do just so much ridiculous destructibility thanks to that beautiful rattling gun coming out from him. Starts to pop a lot of this utility early so the attackers can't get a hold of any of it, and it really will come down to some of these other players on Furia. Are they going to extend up above or not?
You just really gotta feel bad for the devs, right? They do all this cool stuff for us, and you practically see every single pro immediately remove it from the map whenever it's there. It does make a whole hell of a lot of sense, though, for this basement.
Yeah.
I mean, especially that fire pipe right there. You do not want to have to deal with that thing. I don't know if any of you guys have even tried to stand in one of those yet, but they do a heck of a lot of damage. What'd you see?
Oh, Joystick just took a 99 damage as he jumped into the top floor.
Oh, God.
Really scary stuff as he's lit up to 1 health remaining, but he is going to be okay. Gets back on that drone as he's safely in the site now.
Kind of safely.
I mean, that comes back down to it, right? You're playing a little bit more aggressive if you're Furia. You're taking some more of these risks because you don't have as much utility to rely on back at the bottom floor.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And if you're able to convert something like, you know, herds after all those mute jammers go down or whatever the situation is into something of value, you know, getting a big pick, that can really change up the fate of this round, especially with how slow rolling Virtus.pro have been and processing the map. That will just cause a massive issue in their clear if you are able to get a clean pick, such as what we almost saw on Joystick. It's going to be Ying, but it's going to be like a cluster charge. They'll put it through the floor and try and get rid of the player in open area.
Everybody's happy to fall back on the side of Furia, so they don't actually commit to taking any fights up above. The one nitro from Herds was going to be enough to tickle Joystick down to a sneeze away from death, so you'll be happy with that. 90 seconds to go now, and you're going to have to deal with this barrage of fused cluster charges coming down on you if you're on the side of Furia, but pretty easy to dodge, pretty easy to hear where they're going to come from and get out of the way, so they aren't going to worry about their lives as much. More the utility, right? You're going to have maybe some of those mute jammers in sight, some Fenrir gadgets in sight. That's not going to be a problem anymore once the fuse kind of gets done with his job.
Same as last time, always going to put a can opener here on the bottom, follow up on the other side. They did the cluster charges upstairs, so they didn't have to really worry about, you know, following through like they did on the wall previously. Cluster charge on, and then obviously a can opener. This time around, though, always will start the plant, the fire eating at him as he will make it away with only about half of his HP. They do have plenty of time here, but here's the issue with a position like this. Guys, look at the amount of fire grenades that Tachanka gets. He's got 16 of those up until Dan murders him. He swings in, he finds the kill. Dan! Oh my! The plant goes down! Who the hell needs a Virtus.pro when all you need is Dan? What the hell is that? A quad kill for him. He's looking for the ace. It's practically all him and an always plant. They know where the last man is too. He'll try and bully him with the shield, and that will be a Dan ace. A flawless round for Virtus.pro after they ban away the yokai.
Dan was the single best player of our group stage, Sam. After the first 2 days of EWC, CSGG gave him a 149 rating, highest of anybody here at the Esports World Cup, and that's a great example of why. During groups, he had 15 kills and just 4 deaths, which is ridiculous, given they played 2 whole matches in that group stage to get here to playoffs, but he's just ridiculous when he needs to be. You know, one of those players that can be counted on in any situation to adapt to any role that he needs to. Can be an aggressive player sometimes, can get into those entry positions when he has to, but really is still reliable in the late round too. That first pick on a nade was really the only one he needed to make sure the plant could go down. After that, everybody on Furia tried to collapse in, but everybody fell to the gun of Dan. Really pretty stuff. 9-1 now, by the way, so chasing even a better stat line than he had in the group stage.
That's disgusting. Just so gross right now. Especially after we saw on the first map, the fact that Virtus.pro are putting up such a solid fight here on Bank, especially on the offensive side, where Furia truly are trying a lot of different strategies up against them. Well, there's a will, there's a way. And Virtus.pro do not shy away from a solid bout. That's the one thing about this squad I've always respected so highly of them. 3-1, Virtus.pro looking to make it impossible for Furia to try and equalize this offensive side. They've been looking so dominant on thus far. Let's see what Furia have in the tank.
Worth noting at this point, too, Virtus.pro up 3-1. They've yet to win Bank all season long. They played it 3 times, twice against G2, couldn't find success in either of those games, and then also lost to Gen.G once this season in the EML. So a couple of times they've tried it, yet to find any success. Furia 4-1 record in Tier 1. They're only lost to 7-5 to NIP, so both these teams have played it quite a bit, but Furia have had a lot more success. Had more success in general, but on this map in particular seems to make a big difference. Huge from Herds just there to destroy the Twitch drone and keep his mirror window alive.
Well, usually they say that sports are a game of inches. We play a game of pixels. This Pasha will miss by a pixel. Able to finally find that, and he'll try and slip away, but he already knows that that drone is getting thrown into the ether. KZ will be able to clean up another one. A Goomine out towards the Monty. Plenty of time here for Virtus.pro to work with. I love the situation that we are being presented from the offense here. This is a much quicker offense than we're used to seeing from them.
Yeah, certainly. They're starting to take a lot of good space. That Monty play that we really haven't seen so far this series. Shields have not been a big aspect of either of these teams' games, both through the season and now in this matchup either, but starting to come out from always. He's getting good information on KZ's spot. Nobody really with him at the moment. Dan is in a position where he could come back him up, but at the moment, nobody is behind him, so it's a bit of a bluff as KZ is standing his ground.
Always. He's going to have to work himself away and get this goo mine out. Finally, he'll get some help from Square here as his team will work its way in around him. KZ usually ends up winning those, but Dan, I think he's found himself yet again. We've seen it time and time again with him. Some of these events, he will just light the world on fire, and this seems to be one of them. 10-1 right now, truly indomitable, and not even a thorn, a true dagger in the side of Furia, as they simply cannot shut him down at this moment in time.
Joystick knows that somebody's just run back to side, but he couldn't quite find the player before he would skate back into safety. Bird starts to get some sights set up now. It'll be a square push. Monty's already deep, but doesn't mean he can safely plant without the cover of his team.
Well, that Square sledgehammer starting to work its way in from Virtus.pro. The Russian machine eating at Furia. This mirror window might be the saving grace if they can prevent this plant. Pasha will take down one. JV92 with one of his own. The Nitro Cell will down always, and this is where things can reach critical mass. The case on Dan. He knows that there's somebody in behind him, but too many bodies will eat up Furia. The Polar Bears dominant on the offensive side.
Beautiful stuff coming through for that push. Again, it's Dan who makes that entry point. When there's a player who's just having this good of a game, there's very little that you can do to stop a player like that. And actually, it will prompt a tack timeout, Sam, as Furia decides that the heat is too high in Riyadh. Need to cool things down a little bit, bring things back down to earth. Really does feel like they're just getting overrun by good util work coming through from Virtus.pro. They're having a good use of their time to try to work picks around the map, and then when that execute comes through, everyone's there at the same time. As long as they're not getting denied on the plant by the Yokai camp with 5 seconds to go, they're in a really strong spot. Bleeding numbers out of Furia, making sure they have that man advantage, and then the push just comes easily.
Yeah, I mean, it's really crazy how much that ban actually affected Furia, because it played right into the hand that you said it was going to, Jesse. They banned that Echo. Furia's like, okay, well, we don't have that utility anymore. We're going to get a little bit more aggressive. And right when they do that, VP put the collar on them. They're like, oh, yeah, that's fantastic. Thank you for doing that. That's fantastic. Exactly what I wanted from you. And even that, I mean, Virtus.pro just really aren't taking any gambles right now. They're keeping their chips close to their chest and seeing how Furia operate around these situations that they're presenting. I especially loved what we saw from the Monty there. I know it was a little just, you know, fun play back and forth. He accidentally hits a goo mine, yada, yada, yada. But, I mean, even then, Virtus.pro aren't risking anything that, you know, isn't insane at that moment in time. The shield can just stay up. He can back up, get that assistance from the player over on Square. It was very clean cut from VP, and Furia just not really able to do anything with that top floor hold.
There was a great interview done with Igor, the coach of Furia, back in late July, where he talked about his philosophy when it comes to those tack timeouts, right? And he said he only pauses the game when his team doesn't think how he thinks, right? When his team has got a different read on the situation than what he has, that's when he calls the tack timeout. There'll be times where you're watching Furia and things are quite drastically bad, and they won't call a tack timeout. In those situations, he feels his team has the right read. Maybe they're just not able to put it into practice. This time, the fact that he does call that tack timeout speaks to me that he sees something his teammates maybe don't. He's aware of some sort of situation, maybe the way VP are playing, maybe just the way that they're taking their time and finding some of these aggressive players on Furia that are really punishing the guys from Brazil. That's something he can instill into his boys, help them maybe understand how the best way to counter that could make all the difference, but even if it does, only one round remains in this first half, so they won't get a lot of value out of it. They need this round to at least ensure they get something.
Well, I'll give Igor this. Look at the adjustment he's made on this basement site.
Yeah.
The operator lineups, the mirror window break that we saw over towards servers. It's all conducive towards what Virtus.pro's strategy has been for that entire basement setup. They've been constantly working their way into server, getting the single panel, and attempting to put a plant down on default. Furia have completely designed this strategy to stop exactly that. So now this is where the fun times come. This is where chess is played in Rainbow Six Siege. Have Virtus.pro thought far enough down the line to be aware of what Furia are going for, or are they going to fall back into the same tracks?
Yeah, I'm worried we're going to see the same push from Virtus.pro, which is going to be get inside a server, plant with the cluster with the shield on your back, and pray that nothing stops you. And that can be a good strategy on Bank. Don't get me wrong, it's a good pushing strategy. It's meta for a reason. But with all of these tools in the pocket of Furia, I almost wonder if just dropping down gold, going main stairs, going elevator might be the better call. It's not the one that they opt for. They are positioned in server, so they're pretty much committed at this point. Unless they go for a crazy late round rotation, the mirror window still needs to be opened up. This wall's going to be awkward to get through, and even now, they're fighting against this Tachanka fire, and it's not easy to open up these walls.
It's going to require a Virtus.pro masterclass. Fire on fire from Furia. Speaking of which, Nade still has 15 of those nades on him. So, it's going to be quite an interesting result to this. As always, he's burning up. He can't get around the sheet as the grenade bounced through the mirror window. Actually, no, off the door frame, and he's able to find one. This round falling flat on their face is Virtus.pro. Furia, they set up the tripwire, and so far it's going off without a hitch.
Yeah, I mean, they read him perfectly. The Sens walls might not make too much of a difference now. There's still 5 players that can sprint through the wall if they want to. Here comes the plant attempt. We'll see if there's a response.
I love the light screens here. It's going to require something out of Furia to get things done. Joystick, he's able to get the plant, and this is a pretty difficult post plant. Pasha will be able to get one. Do they know that Joystick's inside of server? That's the biggest question. Furia's got a lot of bodies to try and donate to this problem. The biggest thing is that both of these guys need to stay alive for some bit of time. If one of them dies, it's all downhill from there. Fire grenades out. Nade will get one. This case starting to look more and more tantalizing. Shepard with one of his own. He'll be able to get another. Can he get there in time? Oh, it's ticking down, and it's over. It's planted in the corner. That hatch not even useful in this situation.
That's tough, man. They really did manage to get the plant down. There's no way they get the plant down, but with the Sens wall covering, there was no chunk of fire to come through. Managed to get locked down, and so I thought, great, this is going to be a 5-1 for VP. That's an incredible way to get the defuse get down. And then you lose the post plant. That's a tough one because, I mean, you mentioned it, one of the strongest attacker post plants in Rainbow Six Siege, but just based on where they planted that defuse kit and based on that one server player going down without getting even a single kill, kind of tilted the scales back in favor of Furia. Man advantage was just too much to overcome. Nice attempt on that final attack from Virtus.pro. They still get 4. They're still feeling quite confident about their position in this game. That was by no means a do or die round for them. It certainly was feeling that way for Furia. They'll get to move on to the attacking side, a side that's been favorable for them. Again, they've played this map 5 times so far this season, and they've got a 67% attacking win rate, so they are quite good at playing on this map on the attack. But Furia as well, I mean, they're going to make a strong opponent. Virtus.pro on the defense on this map can be quite deadly. I say that through 17 rounds, only an 18% defensive win rate, so that might actually be quite concerning.
Uh-oh. I did not like that stat at all.
No.
That's a very scary stat. That was a jump scare.
Basically, every team has like, you know, a 45 to 60% defensive win rate like on every map, right? Defense is like pretty standard.
Yeah.
18% from BP. Again, sample size of 17 rounds is a little bit scary. I'll repeat myself, they haven't won this map, so expect those win rates to be low, but even still, man, they're going to need to show better defenses than what they showed in the EML.
Truly, truly. You guys might have heard me ooging and ogging there when Jesse was talking. That's because of the bans that we saw come through from Virtus.pro. 90% of the time or more, we see Habana and Ace banned out on this map. They choose to ban neither one of them. They ban One Shield and Grim.
Yeah.
Jesse, is this going to come back to bite them?
I mean, I think it's a decision they've made purposefully, Sam, right? I think if you don't see one, you often don't see the other. It's a real decision that teams need to make. Do they feel like that range hard breach is the be-all, end-all, or is there something that they're more concerned about? I think VP are just a little bit more concerned about that Monty. They have for years and years despised playing against shields, and so if anybody was going to choose to not ban hard breachers on Bank, it makes sense that it's a team like VP. The Grim as well can just provide so many opportunities to work your way into that top floor with how many different ways there are to get the bees into the site. So I think it makes sense. I don't think it's a troll, but it certainly will allow so many more opportunities now for Furia. They're working some of the hatches and working some of the long-range hard breach.
We'll see if it ever does rear its head, because at least for this first round, Virtus.pro won't be affected by the bans that they've selected. Not a single range hard breach. available on Furia, so instead they'll be looking for more traditional means to work their way through. Pocket EMP in the hands of JB92 as he'll disable that beeper for the administration office. Works his way in here, or rather teller's office, but still works his way in down low. Probably just be sitting down here for a while, see if he can get any rotations out of Virtus.pro later on.
At the moment, no need to panic if you're Furia. Still plenty of opportunities to win rounds in this game. They've got Chafee below on the Nook, already inside of Tellers. There's nobody roaming below for him to find, but a cheeky walk up the main stairs could be threatening. There's barbed wire, so that'll be a problem to solve, but certainly an option for him. Spiral stairs looking a juicy target for him as well. Still have KZ down below as well, currently playing inside a basement, so this will be a double kind of flank now coming up the staircase.
Oh, the timing, and Pasha misses!
Oh, no.
You'd never see that. JV92 making the most of the situation, but Furia and Virtus.pro going round and round, body for body right now, until Furia are able to bully their way into the top floor. They will shore up this scoreline practically automatically when they request it. What a first offense.
Yeah, and that really highlights kind of what Furia do best, right? This team have been together as a 5-man unit for like 3 years at this point, Sam, right? It's been a very long time since they've been playing each other, and they've been playing at the highest levels, right? These guys are former world champions for a damn good reason. Part of that's the coordination. When one person makes a play, everybody makes a play. It's not just the Nook that's walking up spiral stairs, it's the Dokvi that's walking up the main stairs. It's the Ying that's rappelling in through the windows. It's the Sens who's holding long angles on the windows, right? It's every single player on Furia making the move together. And if you're Virtus.pro, all of those moves are happening in different positions. You can't just look one way and see the push. You've got to look 360 degrees, and that's a really tough thing to do on the top floor of Bank, especially after an operator like Castle gets banned out.
100%. And let alone that fact, but just the calamity that Furia and a lot of these teams cause when they go for those 3-2-1 executes, it's impossible to calm, Jesse. You just have to hope that your whole team is in the proper position to be able to solve the issues that are now being presented. And fortunately enough for Virtus.pro, I mean, they did have a pretty solid opportunity there until the Checkers players started doing a little bit too much.
Yeah.
So for Virtus.pro, that round will slip away. They'll immediately go downstairs. The most favorable site. There's no way.
What? Did they shoot him with a shotgun?
Dan had to have went down from... I could have sworn he got shot from behind by accident. Unless Herds immediately made his way in. What was the call there? Give us 1 second, guys. We're figuring it out, okay? Dan is still down. Nobody's picked him up. Yeah, we're gonna let Jesse do a little discovery here and figure out what the hell just happened there, because I was looking Jesse dead in his eyes when that happened, so I genuinely am at a loss for words. Furia are operating decently quickly, though. Joystick's going to take some damage as he'll start to back off on the mid-floor. JB92 and the rest of the gang will continue to try and clear things out.
I think it was just always shooting him with the shotgun, unfortunately. Yeah, I mean, just through the walls, that kind of stuff can happen. It's a little bit deceiving, right? Because during prep phase, there's no team damage, but after that clock hits 3 minutes, you better be careful.
It's very true. And now not only is Dan on a very low amount of HP, but Joystick got lit up as well by Furia on their entry. They're going to try and dedicate themselves to this roam. Hopefully they're able to find some sort of value. We do have a player here on Marble. Did the drone find him? It did, and he shoots, but KZ, he's too damn clean, Jesse. He only needed 1 shot out of the 6-cylinder. That's it, man.
Helps when Joystick's on 1 HP, but still a nice shot regardless. Take down the one zombie player, and you can see VP, they're a little bit desperate. That's why Pasha's choosing not to fall off. He needs to get a kill before he does so, but as he misses his shots, he just has to drop, or otherwise he will get collapsed on from other angles. Disappointing roam game from Virtus.pro. That's why now we got to see some more swings coming up. Always aggressive on the main stairs. Other of these players maybe looking to get aggressive through the hatches. If they just sit and let this happen, I mean, they do have good util in terms of the Goyos and the Echo Cam as well, but will it be enough to stop a 5-man push from Furia? I don't think so.
KZ with a double kill now, the only 2 kills to Furia's name as he continues to be able to find these moments in time to take away the VP players. Pasha tagged up a little bit, but really Dan, the one that's worse for wear due to the situations that we saw earlier on. Furia have done a pretty solid job of being able to work their way into the map, but with 30 seconds remaining, they need a home for this case, or at least the capability to work their way into the side and start doing irreparable damage to the remaining players. And now, this is the time. How will they strike? JV92 working his way down Marble. Nade over here on the red drop. All the crosses working their way in. A beeper will signify the player is on Marble. A flash out will blind the hell out of that player in the main office. Furia flying into the bomb site. Nade will confirm things with a potential plant. The Yokai will come through, and he doesn't get it! Shepard, for the first time in my goddamn life, I see him shake!
Sam, he missed. He missed the Yokai. He was so panicked.
Oh, man.
He had time, too. He could have taken a second to steady his aim. They weren't going to shoot the cam that fast. I don't think they realized he was in the site already. Oh, devastating mistake from Virtus.pro. Stolen from out from under them. That could have been a Shepard masterclass play, but instead, that initial 2K entry from KZ ends up being the real decider of this matchup, with the man advantage being way too powerful. Oh, that was a scary round for Furia fans, but they must be ecstatic that they managed to get away with it and tie this game.
I mean, that's just as terrifying gets.
Yeah.
I mean, Furia, count your lucky stars, because I'm telling you, we've watched this man for 7 years. I've never seen a moment like that when it comes to Shepard. Truly incredible, but what else would you expect from Virtus.pro versus Furia? It's a tie ball game here on Bank. Is Furia are really bringing Virtus.pro back into reality.
Yep. No, this is starting to look a little scary. That 18% defensive win rate is rearing its head a little bit as Virtus.pro have been struggling on the defensive side. They go open area to complete the site rotation, despite the fact they have not been able to win either the top floor or basement round. From the side of Furia, we've got a very explosive lineup. The Yings, the Blitz coming through as well, the Capitao coming forward. Joystick on this Warden is going to be an absolutely critical player this round. He's starting top floor, so he might get aggressive. As I say, he drops down. Keep an eye out on him. He's kind of the one player that really has a hard counter to most of the operators on Furia.
Well, Furia will start by doing their due diligence when it comes to the info game. Getting some drones in over here towards Square will be JV92 on the Lion. As we were talking about, a very aggressive lineup coming out of Furia here. The capability to work off of the back of a lot of utility, a lot of very grandiose aggression could be flung into round 9. Dan, trying to maintain his position up top, does know that players can have some influence over towards Square, as that angle's been open for a while now. Fire out as they start to look to try and burn things down inside of Kitchen. We do have that player inside of Archives attempting to rotate, especially with Felipox working his way in. This could be a plant coming down soon as Furia are bullying the defense. It's down to Pasha, but he hits a shot. It's a trade instead, though. It's Shepard to try and get anything done, but it doesn't matter. They don't even go for a harsh execute, Jesse. They practically just walk into Kitchen and plant.
Yeah, I mean, it's a full confidence push coming in for the Panthers. Really beautiful stuff to take down Virtus.pro on a full 3-round site rotation. Top floor, bottom floor, and mid floor. They do it with that time by just having good flank watch. They had a player ready for Dan. He was that one guy still top floor playing on the dock. Could have thrown a real wrench into that plan, but because he was on the dock, he couldn't really do much vertically. Again, the plan was coming cafeteria, so your only real option at that point is to flank up through top square, and as he does that, shut down by the flank watch at JV92. Site entry is absolutely masterful. The entry duo of Herds and KZ looking as deadly as they always do. I say that Herds has 3 kills at the moment, but it's still those impact kills that we're seeing in the right moments, right? And I think once he gets on attack, that's when he really starts to heat up as well.
Yeah, 100%. And now the T coming in from Virtus.pro. Garjeka, some words to say. And really, what do you say at a moment like this? It's really just down to the strategy more than likely. Try and get an adjustment in here. Try and get in front of Furia, because that's the big thing that we've seen so far. Furia have really had a pretty easy time of starting off in the building, and that's the thing that you don't want them to have.
Yeah.
Once Furia is able to check off that first box, they are in some of the most powerful positions that they can possibly be as this squad, because they can go in there and try and take those gunfights. A lot of times Virtus.pro have been trying to peel things back and find other ways to be able to affect the game, but Furia have constantly and consistently been able to find their way through these rounds.
Sam, VP are on the ropes, but they have been playing playing well this series, right? Map 1, they brought it down to a 7-5. It was a 1v1 round 12. Could have gone either way. It was an incredibly competitive Cafe. Then in this round, they really dominate on their attacks. They go up 4-2. They look like the better team on bank, but it's just been slipping away from them. And if this is how VP go out of the Esports World Cup, if this is how they just crumble and let Furia take the second map, steal that 4-2 advantage they previously had, it would not feel right. I have to imagine that an attack timeout, be able to go back to any bomb site that they wish, VP will have answers to this Furia squad, because there's no way they go out with a whimper like this. They need to have a battle back, at least make this map close. Show us the Virtus.pro that we've seen through the majority of this series.
Virtus.pro waiting inside of the building, seeing how Furia want to try and act. Hurts quickly into the mid floor. Has that IQ scanner. Doesn't have the suppressor though in the pistol, so they'll definitely at least see these shots coming through. He might be able to find this guy.
No.
Oh man. As long as he doesn't stay on that phone too long, then Herds more than likely won't even attempt to bring out that 5.52 commando.
It's always, he's on a hard floor, so he should be okay.
True, that as well. It's a little awkward sometimes up there. There are certain patches of this floor up above Herds where he won't be able to get any damage through, but a lot of this is soft as well, so you have to be careful. You can see Herds trying to make heads or tails if this is a position where he can try and shoot through. More than likely not, at least from my past brain here on Bank, but it's been a while, so don't be shocked if Herds all of a sudden pops this guy. Looks like we do have some camera work still to go around, but at a bare minimum, Furia will recognize where that guy is.
It's good information in any case. Stalling out a little bit, we see Always is playing inside of meeting, northeast corner. These last couple players on the side of Furia, I mean, they can still work around this info too. On the rappel, that's a head that just gets spotted by JV, but he's missing it slightly. It was Shepard playing on this top elevator position, just on the Kanto wall, making sure that he can maintain this spot. That's where the ranged hard breach would really start to find value, but again, not really being brought on the side of Furia. Instead, it's a spiral push that's incoming, Sam. Philippe Box on the shield starting to make his way up, and they get an entry pick onto the best player of VP.
This is terrifying. This is exactly how you don't want this to go. If you're one of the polar bears, a Nitro Cell out will start to repel. Some shots come in towards him. Furia making some headway. Here's a wrap around Banana. JV92 will be able to take down Shepard, and it's all starting to fall apart for Virtus.pro. They just haven't found a way to successfully step up to the plate. KZ with the double kill. He'll try to wrap around. He'll get the trade and at least stop the flawless, but what the hell does it matter when the round is slipping away, and so is the map. Furia looking indomitable on this offensive side.
That's a big push coming out from Furia as well. One round away now, Sam, from making it to the semifinals, securing themselves a date with G2 on the other side. It's going to be a ridiculous match tomorrow if it occurs, but they've still got to get that last one. It's a ridiculous, another rappel down to the skylight from JV92. He's obsessed with those moves today. KZ, the real star, of course, getting in through checkers, get 3 kills, including the one that gets traded out onto him. So KZ, probably the MVP of that one, but it's really just the team play, Sam. Everybody focusing their attention towards that one side of the map. They didn't give a lot of early warning signs either where that push was going to come from. They weren't spamming a lot of it with nades, with information. It wasn't until that first smoke grenade went out that Shepard realized, and everybody on VP realized, oh, it's going to be a lobby push. Took them a little bit to kind of come to that realization, and that split second started to make that difference so the Fury could find the kills. They have not lost a single bank attack, Sam. They are on match and series point. They just need to win one more offensive round. Virtus.pro has 0 momentum in the world. They need a miracle. They need a hero.
Everybody has been quiet on Virtus.pro since their offensive side. Dan hasn't found a kill. Joystick is non-existent. And Shepard, poor Shepard, from what we saw from this previous basement round. All things that they will be forced to shove into the back of their mind. Forced to deal with later on, but that could be a problem in and of its own right. The mental fortitude will be challenged. 2 rounds here up against what could be the best roster we've seen in the last 2 years in Rainbow Six.
Well, you asked for a hero. Joystick and Pasha will be the two duos that roam inside of open area. Traditionally, Sam, these two players aren't looking for fights. They're looking to shoot drones, get back to the bomb site. But desperate times call for desperate measures, and I wouldn't be shocked if in this situation they choose to get a bit more aggro.
Oh, speaking of aggression, this could be the decision right here. JV92 over inside of E2. He knows these players are in open area. You can see the droning. JV92. Practically a sniper rifle in the hands of the Habana. He'll eliminate Pasha immediately, as he'll have to wait on the bench to see what the result of this round is. He might not have another opportunity to play Siege here in the desert. The drone out for KZ as they will continue to consistently work this map. Virtus.pro will peel themselves back.
Furia know they've got full top floor control. They've avoided the real danger at the start of this round, and now they can start the util work. Jumping in and getting the plant down 5v4 is not going to be easy, but you've done it a couple times before, and with the man advantage, it becomes all that more likely that the round will end in the success. We need great util play from Virtus.pro. We need a Nitro from Shepard to get big kills. We need Toxic Babe from Always to stall out the time. We need a big swing from Joystick to make a big momentum shift. Something has to give, because if you let Furia just set up and go for the execute that they want to, after clearing all the utility that lies within this site, you're not going to be able to walk away successful.
Well, the stars at night, the snow-capped north are absolutely gorgeous, but they're asking for those things to align right now. And sometimes those things simply can't happen. Furia, moments away from this execute, as the fire is the only thing that is stopping us from seeing the result of what is this beautiful round that is building up.
Their holding Ash is really aggressive, Sam. This could be actually big for them.
It really could be. Flash grenade in JV92's hand. Still the fire persists, another Toyo out. They found a little gap at the back end here, but another smoke grenade out too. Great utility work from VP, but now the aggression comes in. Nade with the plant, JV92 and the rest of Furia with some nice shots, but Nade, he's confirmed the plant. Furia now putting VP in the hot seat. It's a 2v2, a 1 versus 2, and there is a new Apex Predator at the top.